So today we are going to talk about reinventing project-based learning, your field guide to real-world projects in the digital age, by Susie Boss and Jane Krause. So we're going to be talking about chapters 3, 4, and 5 today. Chapter 3 is Imagining the Possibilities. So it talks about project-based learning and how it is designed to help students understand the material, but is also used to help develop other skills needed even beyond school and into real life. It also talks about the different ways technology can help with project-based learning, as well as teach essential learning functions. So what is the big idea? What are you trying to accomplish with project-based learning? So it really talks about how technology can be used. There is an example in the book. It talks about a wiki page and how it was used by teachers to gain collaboration from others, even people across the world, for one of their projects. It also talks about how project-based learning can be used to help develop essential learning functions such as research, creating ideas, collaboration, project management, reflection and iteration, and supported study. This will really help students in the long run, even after their education ends, and it help them in the future when they are in the real world with jobs and stuff like that. This helps them be able to work well with a team. It gives them the motivation to be self-starters. It really does help them, and I would love to implement this in my classroom to help give students the abilities and the resources they need later on in life after their education ends. So some examples of the chapter are one teacher had his students write a letter every day, and they were able to sometimes get their letters published in the local newspaper. Another teacher wanted their students to help solve environmental issues they saw around their community and be able to present a solution to these. Another teacher wanted their students to create documentaries just to help them with their years beyond their school life. It helps them in the real world to really grasp what it takes to make it in their career fields. So chapter 4 is strategies for discovery. It talks about when creating a project, there may be potential pitfalls that need to be addressed and what can be done to fix them, as well as what is important when creating a project. It also talks about how to come up with ideas for projects. So how do you review projects? How do you ensure the students will learn from every aspect of the project? Will there be issues that you experience? Overcoming obstacles like these are talked about, and how to make a project that will be a meaningful lesson from every angle. Some of the pitfalls that are discussed in this are short on learning outcomes, too many steps, not enough focus on formative assessment and stuff like that. And it also talks about how to correct them by comparing and contrasting, understanding relationships, examining perspectives, and other things like that. It talks about how to design projects for teachers and really interact with students and better understand how they want to learn. On page 100, there's an example of needing to take opportunities and let the kids pick what they want to learn and not what you feel they should be focusing on. Some examples in the chapter are, like I said, the Canadian teachers let students' questions and interests lead them in a project and helped them actively learn when they deviated from the original plan on a chilly day. Project on single-use plastics after the community banned plastic grocery bags and made them more aware of how to recycle and put these things to better use. I would love to implement this into my classroom. I think that having these projects really helps students to see their more creative side, to really be able to use their critical thinking and really just encourages students to be more aware. Chapter 5, it talks about, or it's making assessment meaningful. It talks about taking advantage of assessments throughout the project and not just at the end to help measure student learning. Formative assessment and summative assessment. Create a rubric to help grade as well as show students what you are looking for while grading. And create a project timeline with milestones as well as check-ins. So how do you assess your students' work and make sure they grasp the concept of the project and really learn from it? Formative assessment is assess along the way, be continuously engaged. Summative assessment is what students learned at the end of the project. By doing both of these, you can make sure students stay on track, and if they need help, we can ensure we help them. Be sure to have a plan on how to assess students. Are you going to use tests? Are you going to use discussions? How are you going to assess that they are doing the work and putting in the effort and really benefiting from this project? Rubrics can also help, and they can help students better understand what you are looking for in their project, as well as keep you from deviating from your original intentions, because sometimes we do that. We start off thinking that we want one thing when really we want another, and that really doesn't help the students. We can use a project timeline to keep students on track, set milestones, plan check-ins, like I said previously. It really just helps keep them on track, and then you can also use this to assess how well they're doing and if it's really benefiting the students. I would really love to implement this in my classroom to make sure that if they're needing help and they're not understanding what I'm asking for, they can come to me. They can see in the rubric, this is exactly what my teacher says she wants. Maybe I need to reiterate a little bit. Or maybe they're not exactly grasping what needs to be learned. And this is a good way to assess if it's going the way that you want it to. So some examples from the chapter are at the end of the project, ask individuals to apply what they have learned. How can you show an example of what you're learning? Or one teacher wanted his students to create a comic book of the novel of Mice and Men, and this showed them that you could create a literary analysis. It helped them tell a story with their drawings and quotes from the book and create a literary analysis. So this is my reference. I only used one reference, and it was the textbook. So that is it. Thank you very much.